1 month until Lady Midnight. A new Cassandra Clare book, and this series in particular horrifies me and excites me all in one, because especially now since the TV show has started, I'm really falling in love with the beginning and knowing how far our characters will come. And we have all of that, and then we know how it all ends, and now we're going to see them 5 years ahead of time, and I know that Mortal Instruments characters are going to make me emotional. And not only are the Mortal Instruments characters, and then Tessa and Jim are, the Infernal Devices characters, the whole big collab is coming in. I'm really wondering what the last series is going to be told in the future, because I know she's playing around a lot with future and in between Infernal Devices or whatever. And if the last one, like every single person ever comes to play, that would be so cool. So this is a different type of video for me. I've never done one of these videos due to the fact that I did not have my YouTube channel when City of Heaven and Fire rolled around. I actually did, but nothing had been posted yet, and I was kind of just creeping around BookTube then. So we're going to start, and very first time I've ever done a Crackpot theory video. So I've done some research, and I feel like the main reason why I could create these was because of the ending of City of Heavenly Fire. And obviously the ending of City of Heavenly Fire was great for the characters, but for society in general, we weren't doing well. Inequality, discrimination against more downworlders, it's this, what does Magnus call it, the repetitive circle that's just not going to ever fix itself, apparently. So I have these theories. I have 2 pages of theories, and I all wrote the whole thing in Sharpie marker because I thought I would magically be able to lead them after I did that. Okay, so let's start off with the Shadowhunter Academy. I have not read the Shadowhunter Academy. I don't like ebooks at all. Really hate them. I don't like audiobooks either. I like the physical format in my hand. And Cassandra Clare just announced she is releasing it in physical format November 15th. So, haven't read it yet. A lot of people enjoy the stories. I don't know how it ended. I actually haven't even read many of the excerpts that Cassandra Clare would put on her Tumblr page, because I like to go into a book blind. I read The City of Bones, definitely not expecting a demon hunting world, because I didn't even read the synopsis on the back. I just like going in knowing nothing. So some of these could already be contradicted. You're going to have to correct me if they are. So let's start off with the Shadowhunter Academy. What is it going to be like knowing the Shadowhunters now are definitely going to have a dominant population? They were always dominant, holding themselves higher in class, but now that they have the cup which can transfer new Shadowhunters, there's probably a lot of Shadowhunters, probably an immediate level training-wise. Now, all the Shadowhunters, I'm kind of curious about this, because Shadowhunters discriminate against downworlders. We've seen it thousands of times. And I'm wondering if the Shadowhunters are going to somewhat turn against one another, because we've never seen this before, but a human turned into a Shadowhunter. What is somebody's real opinion on that? In all devices, we saw Sophie turned, and we assume that they just got married afterwards, and they lived happily ever after, but we've never seen anybody's opinion on it. You assume they are treated equal, but obviously with mass numbers, I'm going to say they're not. I'm going to say Shadowhunters are kind of discriminating against Shadowhunters, because, some Shadowhunters were born and raised their whole entire life just learning this world, and then some are just going to come in at like 16 and by 20 try to have 4 years of experience and compare that to somebody who's had 18 years of experience. It's not going to work. It's obviously going to be a high level and a lower level. The key is, where is the threshold going to be, and is it going to thin as time goes on? I mean, is there going to be a point where nobody can tell who was born a Shadowhunter and who wasn't? Alright, and how are the Fays doing? They were discriminated against. Even if you have Fae, you get discriminated against. Now, there's this speculation that since Sebastian slept with the Sealy Queen, that she could be pregnant with his child, and an evil child, but I'm not going to see where that would come into play in this one. Because even if she was pregnant and had some evil child in Lady Midnight, that child would be maybe 4, 3 or 4, like, maybe. And I'm like, a 3 or 4-year-old can do nothing, even if it's half demon / Shadowhunter, corrupted child / fae. I mean, it's still, I don't see it coming into play. I mean, they could find out about a child, go to kill a child, because you don't know what he's gonna do. So I really don't see that being a major plot in this one. next is the Mortal Instruments characters, so the Infernal Devices characters, all colliding in Lady Midnight. The family tree does not exist for Blackthorns, and for Carstairs, which is what Emma is, I'm assuming you're just going to leave that to Jim. Look at the Carstairs family tree. It ends right here with James Carstairs, 1864 onward. Apparently his line has not yet continued. It'll probably continue through Tessa. That also raises a big question, pointing that out. If supposedly on the family tree his line is not yet continued, WTF, how is Emma a Carstairs? Because we've not seen any Carstairs. There's a secret Carstairs somewhere. They never mention another Carstairs. I don't even remember Jim's parents or anything like that in the Infernal Devices. I thought they were killed or something. I don't know. So yeah, where are the Carstairs coming from? What's Jim and Tessa gonna add to this? Also, I'm thinking there's going to be more Malik in this one than there is all the other characters of the Mortal Instruments. Now, I read this brief part on Cassie's Tumblr page where apparently Emma was Skyping Jason, Clary, Alec, and Isabel, all of them. And they were talking, and I'm thinking that the Mortal Instruments characters are basically going to be like the older siblings to the characters in Lady Midnight, because, I mean, they know what it's like to follow the rules and know when to not follow the rules, and I think they're going to be more of an older sibling guidance, just to say, hey, yeah, I think you should break this law because it's for the greater good, or to say, hey, no, you're jumping too fast. And I feel like, they've already had a lot of experience in the Mortal Instruments doing that, so I feel like they'd be perfect guidance, but I think we're going to see more Magnus and Alec, because I believe Alec is now the head of the New York Institute. He was left in temporary charge at the end of City of Heavenly Fire, but I'm going to assume since now he's like 23, Robert, I'm going to assume is still consul, head of council. Is it called consul? I'm going to assume he's still there, and Mace, I don't know how you say her name, is probably still aiding him, and because now, as I said, everybody's in the young 20s, they're probably going to be over in Idris leading, and they probably left Alec in charge. So Alec / Izzy / Jace, I mean, it's kind of a trio. So, and because he's the head of New York Institute, and then Magnus is the High Warlock of Brooklyn, and he's going to be working with Malcolm, who's the High Warlock of Los Angeles, even though he's not as old as Magnus, and he's really inexperienced, if I remember right. So, Alec talking to who's ever the head of the Los Angeles Institute, and Magnus and Malcolm teaming up, and Catalina's going to come in, and Jim and Tessa, and oh my god, everybody from ever is coming in, and I feel like we're just going to see more Magnus and Alec than anybody else due to the fact that they have a lot more ties to the Institute, because, they communicate. And I don't know how many institutes there are in America. We know of New York, we know of Los Angeles. Are there just some in, big cities? Is there, a Chicago Institute, or, a Dallas Institute, or Miami one? I don't know. It would be really, really cool if Cassandra Clare could tell us that. How many institutes are there, really? Alright, next is the whole an LGBT character. I know there's going to be another LGBT character, and I believe this time it's a female, which is really cool because we've seen bisexual characters with Magnus, we've seen gay characters with Alec, and now it's kind of cool because we're going to get to see lesbian, and I believe, going out on a hunt here, that it's Livy, because only other female is Christina, but I don't think it's Christina. For some reason, I just don't. And the other characters, like Tivy and the other 1,000 Blackthorn children, I can't all remember. I think they're too young. Tivy is 8, and the others are 13, and then Emma, Julian, and I think Christina are 17ish. I believe Christina was the same age as around the same age as Emma and Julian. I'm really hoping that's right. So, we're going to see, I'm going to assume that by this book, Emma and Julian are figuring out they love each other, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say they chose to not say anything to each other, to the parabatai, sacred bond, whatever. You are so gonna regret asking to be a parabatai, Julian. And I don't know how the series is gonna end. Are they just gonna Clave make an exception like this one time for one parabatai? Because that does not sound like the Clave. Or are they just never gonna tell anybody, like, live in secret? Last one, this is so cool. I've never ever read about this. There's a love triangle, but it's between 2 girls and 1 guy. I've never, ever read a 2-girl, 1-guy love triangle. It's always been 2 guys going for the girl. So this is going to be so cool to read that, but I'm thinking, because we don't want to hear this, I'm thinking it's going to be Emma, Christina for Julian. I think Christina's going to be the more logical choice due to the fact that she's not Julian's parabatai, and there'd be nothing wrong if they got together. But it might be like Will and Jim, because I remember Christina was a close friend of Emma, so it might be just like Will and Jim all over again. You can't, like, give one up because you love everybody. Actually, please don't do a Will and Jim. My heart won't survive round 2. It won't. It's still grieving over part 1. That was years ago it ended. Last week comes the big one, and this is my most accomplished theory here. What happened to Emma's parents? And now I'm going to go on a stretch, because I said Sebastian's love child would probably be pointless. My only other guess is, if I remember rightly, I think they were slaughtered like as if a shadow hunter had killed them, not like throats ripped out like vampires or whatever. But I believe this is farther than I can go. What if Jonathan Morgenstern was a ghost? Like Jessamine? Because she didn't honor the shadow hunter world and he didn't really get to? That'd be so cool if he was. I don't think it's possible. And I seriously doubt this. What if he was like Jessamine but for the New York Institute over Quayle? So cool. So creepy, but cool. I think that's my weakest theory there. But also, what if Sebastian, we're going to call him Sebastian, we cried for Jonathan, not Sebastian, remember this. This is an oath he swore to. What if there was a group of Endarkened who supported Sebastian, but never drank from the cup? So, like, they just supported his idea of taking over present-day shadow hunters. And maybe they didn't agree with everything, so they kind of looked at him, kind of didn't. And maybe they were there when Sebastian was at the Los Angeles Institute, and they killed Emma's parents on the beats. Went over to Sebastian, helped him out, had the war. Oh shit, we lost. Gotta go into hiding. Maybe they went into hiding like Valentine's Circle, and they're just slowly emerging and slowly gathering more people, and it's just like another group against one another, except for this time it's not like corrupted. It's still just mildly corrupted. That made no sense when I said that out loud. And lastly, we have Mark Blackthorne. Poor Mark Blackthorne. Ended it with him being treated like Hitler's child in the city of fire, because everybody's like, F you, fairy, this is all your fault. We need to blame somebody. You're closest to us, it's your fault. And so I'm going to assume he is rescued. I don't think they would leave him once they figured out where he was or whatever. And I think I saw on Cassie's Tumblr, somebody was trying to make a negotiation with Emma and Julian about Mark. I'm going to assume they go through with it, they get Mark back, and I'm going to assume he's like Peter and Mockingjay. Kind of really effed up in the head after all this traumatic trauma, and maybe he could turn against like Emma or Julian just out of PTSD and his mind state not being well, and really depressed and secluded, and I want to see what they did to him. I'm going to assume it's not going to be the greatest of things. It'll probably be really sad and tragic. I know people are already predicting how it's going to end with Emma and Julian, but that's too many books away. Too many. But honestly, the most excited I am for this book is because everybody's coming together. We get to see Tessa and Jim together, guys. Tessa and Jim. That's so cool, so long in the making. And we'll get to see Sizzy and Malik and Clace, and it's so amazing. So amazing. Cassandra Clare, you are a genius when it comes to manipulating your timelines with your characters. That is my crackpot, crazy-ass theories. Like I said, some of them are really out there. Lady Midnight, less than a month, guys. We can survive this long now. I just want it on itself, and it's pretty and blue, and she's underwater. It looks so cool. But that is my theories. I'm Annalyse. Thank you for watching. Bye!